Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. You may have wondered why I haven't been writing much lately, although, to be honest, I doubt many people have noticed it at all. There's a reason for that. I've read about it and written about it, but I never expected to find myself in the same position as the poor devils I mention so often in my stories. Yes, my wife has won. There's someone else. The one who bit was bitten himself, or, to put it another way, the writer really got hit. His name is Joss, and no, despite his name, he is as white as possible, although there are some hints of black in it. As you can imagine, his thick red hair makes him quite impressive. Of course he's younger than me, but aren't they always like that? Yes, this is a true story, and not one of those incredible or outrageous scenarios that you will find on this site. It is significant that most of my stories are published in the Loving Wives section. This is probably one of the most difficult stories I've ever written, but I need to lighten my mind and make it easier with the relative invisibility this site allows. It only started a few months ago, and it was all my job. Joss, when I first met him, seemed like such a nice young guy, full of life and, as far as I could tell, with a good body. He was still living with his mom in a big family, but he had obviously reached the age where he needed to become independent. We have a big house with lots of rooms available, and I was even surprised to myself when I found out that I was making him an offer to move in with us. I have no idea what came over me, and I can't even blame the amount of red wine we drank that evening. Maybe I didn't think much about it, but I did, and the next thing I knew, he was coming home with me. Of course, I should have consulted my wife before making such an offer, and of course, when she returned home about an hour after us, she was furious. How could you? She demanded my answer angrily, and what could I say to her? I guess he's going to have to stay the night now, she snapped. I shrugged my shoulders, resigned, realizing what an idiot I was, but not even imagining how much he would change my life. And how fast. My wife made up a bed for him in the guest room, and at the time, I didn't even think about how much time she spent arranging a place for him. I never thought about how quickly her attitude towards our new tenant had changed. I never thought about how easily she agreed the next morning that since he was here, he could stay. The end of the story? Not at all. It wasn't long before Josh joined us every evening, and it didn't seem strange to me, who preferred my own armchair, that he would end up on the couch next to my wife. I closed my eyes to how close they became as the evenings progressed. Although, I admit, I began to experience the first early pangs of jealousy. Maybe this Joss thing isn't such a good idea. I finally ventured after about a week. My words were met with a very strong rebuff, which clearly expressed my wife's position, and by the second week, it became obvious that my wife and Joss' relationship was rapidly going beyond the usual friendship. My jealousy flared up and reached its peak before the end of the third week, when I accused her of taking her relationship with him too far. Then I think we need to talk, she stated bluntly, and there was no trace of guilt in her voice. Of course you do, I growled, pretending to know everything. My mind was spinning with what she might be about to tell me. I'm sorry, darling, it just happened, she sighed. When you leave for work in the morning, Joss slips into our bedroom. Oh shit. It was bad enough, but it was getting worse. Now you know everything, she continued. And now I want to let Joss sleep in our bedroom. But you don't have to worry, dear. It won't make any difference to us. What the hell? It's going to happen. I finally blurted out. My jealousy raged as I ran out of the room, calling for Joss to follow me into the garden where we could sort this matter out between ourselves. Joss followed me with his head down, realizing that everything was about to change. He was standing there facing me with a worried expression on his face, waiting for the executioner's axe to fall. Right. No nonsense. Sit down. I barked at him, and he sat down. Give me your paw, I said, and lifted his head. He held out his left paw to me. That's a good boy, Joss, I encouraged him, giving him the treat he'd been waiting for and patting his ears the way he liked. Don't be jealous, honey, my wife commented, peeking out from behind the door where she was watching us. He's actually your dog. You know how he waits at the door every night for you to come home. Of course she was right. Imagine how jealous I am of my wife for being too friendly to my— Excuse me, our dog? I'm so stupid. Just so you know, Joss is— At the time of writing, a 4-month-old fox terrier who stole our hearts and completely changed our lives. If only he would stop riding on the terrace and go to do it in the yard on the grass.